Hi, Chris Fox, Fox Construction, Tailored Custom Homes. We're here because we're trying to get you as much information as you need to be able to make an informed decision and to be able to be in the home that you really love and enjoy. Chris Fox, Fox Construction, Tailored Custom Homes. I'm here with George Brannon with Setco Title, and we're going to talk a lot about title information that some of you are going to have to go through when you're purchasing and selling properties. George, I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right. What does a title company actually do when buying a land or a home in Florida?
I explain it like this. We've become customer service agents. You ask what a title company does. So we transact, bring everybody in Florida. It varies state to state, but in Florida, we bring everybody together for the real estate closing. So we take the title, transfer it from the seller to the buyer, make sure that's all insured. I do think in a title company, it's geared more towards the closing experience rather than a legal transaction.
Okay. So
but still is a very legal transaction.
Right. You're making sure the title's clean and everybody gets together and everybody's copacetic and...
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, yeah, we're making sure that your title is free and clear. And title insurance is a unique product in the fact it's one of the few insurances out there that covers the past. You think about, your insurance for this building, your insurance for your car, you're paying for something in the future. Mm-hmm. A potential future event, even life insurance. With title insurance, you're paying for something that happened and or was missed in the past. Right. Could be 5 years ago, could be 10 years ago, could be 5 months ago. But you're paying for something that actually transpired and or was missed in the past.
All right. What title issues can delay or kill a real estate deal?
There are many variations as far as like what can create a problem with closing. I'd say the most common ones we have are liens that people weren't aware of. In some cases, federal tax liens are probably the ones that we have the most problems with because if they hadn't paid it by now, they're usually, if there's not enough money to pay it, that creates a problem. All things that can be worked through, it's just a lot of times people don't have the wherewithal or knowledge or whatever to cure something that has come up. Because you can get a lien from a credit card company and attached to your property. So, and there's sometimes things happen where people don't even know about it, and these little issues pop up. Your bigger things where a mortgage wasn't paid off, or something wasn't addressed in the chain of title, something wasn't done correctly. You and your wife buy a property, you and your wife sell the property, your wife doesn't sign the deed for whatever reason. We have to go back and fix that.
Right.
Those are all little bitty things that doesn't sound like a big deal until you're the one trying to buy, or you're the one trying to sell, and you're like, oh, we can't do this. So, and then you come to us and we try and fix it. And usually I got a pretty good batting average, I'd say 950 at least as far as fixing title problems. But unique ones, I'll give a super unique one that has unfortunately happened to us quite often. By comparison of the drama of the situation where we have had someone pass in between contract and closing.
Okay.
And a lot of times, because people don't understand Florida is a probate state. The real estate has to go through probate and the state has to go through probate. And the mentality of people that don't understand that is, well, we've got a contract, we can sell. Well, no, your seller's not with us anymore.
Right. Your
owner, if you will. There's a process, a judicial process for that. And
how long does that take?
It can vary. It's 6 weeks to 6 months. It depends how large the estate is, how complicated the will is.
They can't segment that one piece off?
Nope.
Oh. And you already touched on this. What is the title insurance, and do you really need it when you're buying a home?
I will say absolutely. Title insurance is one of those things you pay for one time, you forget about it. A lot of times, even to real estate professionals, people in our industry, it is a line item on the settlement statement until you really need it. In Florida, it is a more expensive line item. It's the third most expensive state in the country because you have, let's say in comparison to Louisiana, 10 to 15 times the more transactions a year and probably double or triple that amount in dollar volume. Right. So it's an insurance, so it's going to be higher in a state that's got higher volume and higher potential risk. Florida's claim ratio averages across the state about 8%. Having it at 8%, it is absolutely something you want. Because
Is it an option to get it or not?
it can be an owner's policy. It's not for a lender's policy, but yes, in certain cases you can get it as an owner's policy. But let's say, all right, you're a builder. You build a house, you buy a lot with policy. Everything looks great. Everything looks free and clear. You throw a house on it. All of a sudden, a year later, you realize, or someone brings to your attention, that there's an easement running down the middle of the house. And the person that owns the easement is refusing to release it. Okay, you got to tear the house down. Now, again, dramatic example, but title insurance is going to protect against that. And those are some of the things people don't realize.
Well, protect against that. So with that scenario, would the title insurance pay for the house to be torn down, or would they also pay to fight to get that easement released?
It depends. That would probably fall into a negotiation. It's still, it's an insurance company. In some cases, path of least resistance. They may write you a check. So you had a $250,000 policy. Here you go, Chris.
Right.
You do what you want. You can fight, or because you are insured up to the amount of what the policy was for, but also can have, it may be worth it to spend, as opposed to writing a $250,000 check, $15,000 to pay this person over here to release it, get a variance, or fight it in court for some way.
Right.
It really is a kind of a negotiation at that point.
Okay. What problems can show up with a property title that buyers don't expect?
I would say something that's not new, but even more cautious. Your title company, if your title company is doing their job, they should make sure your title is free and clear. I say normal. When a claim comes up that's really, in some cases, no one's fault. It just got missed. Human error, whatever you want to call it, in a title search, a code violation from 2 owners ago was of record and got missed. So that's something title insurance is going to cover. Those things happen. The second part of that I think is almost more important today, that doesn't necessarily have to do with title, but it's in our wheelhouse and part of the closing process, is the security of the transaction. We have rampant seller fraud in Florida, where people are listing properties with a legitimate real estate agent as a straw seller or fake seller, taking it to closing and selling it. And we've had it's a weekly attempt. We've gotten very good at catching it. We've had to implement seller ID. As you know, we have to check everybody and make sure they're the person, but also wire fraud. Wire fraud is still very prevalent. And again, not trying to scare people from real estate closings, but be conscious of it as buyers. Ask questions. The real estate contract has this massive, bold paragraph that is essentially a liability waiver for all things. That doesn't mean anything anymore for somebody to sue you, but you should be knowledgeable. Even if it's your first time, have a professional represent you, a real estate agent, builder, depending what you're doing, and make sure you're asking questions and be knowledgeable about the process, because that's how people get burned. I have had people that are super knowledgeable about the process wire money on bogus instructions that it is baffling that people would hit send on looking at some of these instructions.
How can buyers protect themselves legally when they're purchasing land?
So 2 things. An attorney's going to sit here and say, call an attorney. If you feel like you need counsel, have counsel. That would be the standard answer, represent yourselves legally. That doesn't mean that's the best or most cost-effective course of action. A good title company is going to do everything in the realm of a real estate closing, going to do everything a good attorney will do to ensure that your land is protected from a legal perspective or title perspective. If you get out of the bounds of the real estate closing, and we have attorneys that work for us, I have competition, there are certain things where a real estate attorney needs to step in and do. If I had to answer that in one simple way with a real estate transaction, get a owner's policy. And most people do.
Right.
I'm not discounting that. And because it's one of those things, you don't need it. until you really need it. And when you really need it, you really need it.
All right. What should happen between the contract and closing that most people don't understand?
I think that probably the key thing that people don't understand is when there's a mortgage involved. They think, all right, I get it here, meaning my loan officer said I'm approved, right? There are some great lenders that are like that, and they'll get us a package and we're super efficient and boom, it's done.
Right.
Most doesn't quite work like that. And I would say that would probably be the biggest hiccup is, a buyer is told, and I'm talking about a first-time home buyer or someone that's not a savvy investor. They get frustrated because they've spent all this time getting all this information to the mortgage company or the loan officer, and they're like, we're good to go. Well, we still have to get a closing package. We still have to work through all those numbers. The numbers are rarely the same as what they saw, 30 days before.
Right.
Not the lack of understanding in that process is probably the most frustrating for us. Because in Florida, the title company brings everybody together and we're typically the conduit of all the information. So if you think about us, like we're bringing you as a buyer, we're bringing your seller in, we're bringing your buyer lender in, we're bringing all these parties. Then you throw in the real estate agents in the mix. All those parties are really coming to us as the central source of communication and information. And when the buyer and in some cases the seller do not understand that mortgage process, the closing part of it, it becomes frustrating because we don't have a lot of control over it. Right. I'm waiting on the lender for a package or whatever that might be.
To create the HUD statement.
Yeah, and then the lender's not necessarily calling them back. Not all the cases, some are very proactive. But there's also the uniqueness of their side where the loan officer's done their job. Well, now it's over here in closing in the loan department, and the loan officer doesn't have quite as much control. Right. So it's that lack of understanding of it. It's just, sometimes it takes time.
What are the biggest closing mistakes you see buyers making?
I'd probably go back to the lack of understanding on the mortgage side. Not getting surveys, I will say. This is more, not necessarily with the closing department, but trying to pinch pennies. No offense against Dollar General, but we're not Dollar General, and we're not going to be the cheapest. And the cheapest isn't always the best.
Right.
I'm not trying to necessarily be Bergdorf's, but at the same time, I want to be at that level of quality of service, and that costs money. Not all title companies are created equal. I would say where people skimp on a $500 survey, I gave you the example of the air conditioner. Sounds so silly, right? As a builder, you're like, oh man, it'll take me 30 minutes, we're good. But it can hold up a closing because you refused to get a survey. Now you're selling, and you didn't realize that your air conditioner pad was across. Or in several cases, we've had a pool across a property line.
That's a little bit harder to move.
Yeah, you think? And one time, a half a pool, not just like an inch or two, like half the pool was in somebody else's yard. So
you always wonder how that stuff got approved through the county too.
Walton County grew very, very rapidly with very, very high-end stuff. And again, going back to the amount of buildable footprint that people try and put homes on is a lot to do with it.
Well, let me ask you this as kind of a follow-up to that. So you're saying some of these problems. Have you gone back through and data mined this to say, oh man, a lot of what we're coming up with this encroachment stuff is between 2001 and 2006, or it's been through 2012 to 2016. Is there a range where somebody may be more amped to try to do some of that due diligence on the front end? Somebody who's listening, who says, man, we're going to go buy something, and man, George just told us, yeah, the 01 to 06 stuff has the most problems. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Real Estate Agent, can you check that? Because I heard that that's a good thing to check. Is there a range or?
No, I can't say that. Well, one, I can't say I've done the research. Is it possible? I would say, yeah. If I was just guessing, the 03 to 06, when it was just, building was going crazy.
They were having a hard time keeping up with it. The reason why I'm asking is because I figured that's what it would be, because they were having a hard time keeping up with inspections. The builders were having a hard time keeping production. It was difficult.
Yeah, but I don't think, I'm not sure that 20 and 21 were any different 15 plus years later. And that, again, not trying to get into the county, but you should always get a survey, period. In Walton County especially, in South Walton even more so.
Right.
And again, when I tell realtors, well, this surveyor's $400, this one's $550. You pay for what you get a lot of times. And that goes for all ancillary services. People think about that and the difference in apparel brands or whatever. You don't think about it in builders or title insurance necessarily.
They look at it as a commodity, and it's not.
Well, and they're created differently. So I don't have a time period. The one you suggested, I probably think of a deductive reasoning just because I know when I was here, but I don't know if it has caught up yet today. Right. I think it probably just to some extent in the last few years because it's slowed down a little bit. I hope they're working on doing a better job.
They've got some really good inspectors out there.
That's good. Their problem wasn't necessarily the inspectors. Do things get missed? Sure. But it was the lack of follow-up. The fact that a pool never had a permit closed out.
Right.
Well, that's a hazard. And we've had them from 2002.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, George. I appreciate you coming by. And it was a lot of great information.
Let's
and
do
you
it
kept
again.
It exciting. No, I
All right,
appreciate
I'll
it.
try. All right, man.
Cool.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right. I appreciate y'all listening in.